Hi, I'm Tanya June Moore here at the Sedona International Film Festival 2016, and we have a new filmmaker here for a very, very serious documentary. Please introduce yourself and the name of your documentary.
My name is Elias Matar, and the name of the documentary is Flight of the Refugees.
So, yeah, this is an emotional one for sure.
Yeah.
Tell the audience out there that's viewing about your film.
Okay. This film I shot in September of 2015, last year. The journey began in Austria, and we traveled through Slovenia to Croatia and to Serbia originally, and we went all the way to the Greek border. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to assist the refugees as they cross into Europe, and also at the same time document their stories about their journey and what they've experienced. And the whole thing started with, I'm not sure if you remember this, but when the government in Hungary decided to shut down its borders and not allow the refugees to take public transportations. And literally they were stuck in the capital, Budapest, and I believe it's about 100 kilometers to the Austrian border, and they wouldn't allow them to take buses or public transportation. So what happened in that moment is basically they stopped walking, and I just finished a film, not a documentary film, but a regular film, and it was the end of August and beginning of September, and I called my cousin. I said, we got to do something. The original idea was to go rent a van and basically drive people across. But then we realized the fact that that's actually illegal because you'll be smuggling refugees. And then by the time we got there, Hungary was like a fortress. Was like all the borders are closed. And then we talked with some activists and international volunteers, part of the solidarity movement of supporting the refugees, and they informed us they actually took a different route through Croatia and Slovenia. So that's how the whole thing started, and basically what I did with some international volunteers and my cousin and some friends, what we decided to do is to basically go where we are needed and buy water, hygienic kits, food, whatever we can offer to the refugees for these little few moments to make it a little easier. I speak Arabic, so I'm Syrian American. I was born in California. I lived 15 years of my life in Damascus, Syria. And for me, it was a connection. So I spoke the language. And the minute that I would speak, in the film you see it, the minute they recognize that I speak with a Syrian dialect, their heart opens and they share their stories. Now, don't do that because you're going to get me emotional. And it really changed my life. I am not a documentary filmmaker. I'm
A narrative.
a narrative, but it's an amazing responsibility to tell their stories. And what I wanted to do in this film is to bring it to America, to bring it to the audience here in the States. We are all the sons and the daughters of refugees.
Yes.
Every single one of us. I mean, Native Americans are. This is their land, and we're just borrowing it. But to have this sense of fear who they are, I wanted to show the American audience who these refugees are. Their mothers and fathers and children escaping a war, you know? So that's basically it. I just want to share some numbers because, you know.
Yeah, please. I mean, because I think there's a whole audience of people out there that are like, hungry, borders, what?
Okay.
Because it's not making news here.
No, it's not. I mean, it did for a second, you know.
Well, yeah, and that second was a while ago now.
Yeah, it was.
And it's now out of the common culture. So please share the numbers.
In the population of Syria is 22 million, 3 million was. 470,000 people died from this war that is documented. When the dust is settled, we're going to see it's actually in the millions. There is 1.9 million injured soul in Syria and outside Syria from the war. Total population has been displaced is about 11 million, which is 49% of the population in Syria. registered Syrians in Turkey is, I believe the number is 1.8 million. I went to Turkey for Christmas and New Year's, and it's much more than that. It's closer to 3 million. Lebanon population, the refugee population registered is about 1.5. There's probably another 500,000 living in like a nomad in the Bekaa Valley, unregistered, because Lebanon can't take them. I believe also Jordan has close to 1 million, maybe a little bit more. So the numbers are staggering. Okay, Europe alone has 1 million refugees that received last year. Okay, so we're talking about, this is not something that, if you know, we have to take actions. We have to change. Okay, this idea of borders and them out, we're in, has to change. You know.
Okay, so here's your political commentary. Why do you think that this isn't making news? This isn't popular? This isn't in the forefront? I mean, these are millions of lives. This is not, you know, oh, it's just a couple of people.
You know,
Why aren't we
political
talking
question.
about it?
Yes, I think the disease of our, not our society, just in the States, but in general, is the greed. People who have the power, have the money. I call them the 1%. I think it's true for every nation. It's true for all of it. It's not in the interest of the powerful, okay, to hear this media, because you and I will do something about it.
Right.
Okay? All of us here will do something about it, because this is happening. Okay? I just want to share the second part. I mean, I did this film, and it's really took me 2 weeks to shoot. On the ground, I was there 7 days, but preparation and also post that, it's not in the film, post that trip, I actually went and visited some of the family who actually made it, just for my own peace. And it was very rewarding for me to see some of the people, and to make connection with some of the people who, you know, like, okay, there's at least hope, you know, because in the moment when you're on that road of refugees, it's very daunting. Okay, because it's just, it doesn't end. You know, in the summer, there were 5,000 to 7,000 people crossing daily. You know, and we could sit there and say, but the numbers are staggering. For, you know, tell me when I talk too much.
No.
Okay.
I'm enthralled. So keep talking.
Okay. The thing that I wanted to do for the holidays is, you know, of course, asking my wife's permission not to be with my family for the holidays was, you know, the kids and my wife said, okay, you follow what you need to do. I wanted to go to Greece. I wanted to see how they come, because they all refer to the dinghy. They call it balam. Balam, I think it's a Turkish word for rubber boat. Okay. 52 to 53 people on a rubber boat that is probably a little smaller than this carpet, and I wanted to be there. Like, I wanted to be on that end, and it was really shocking for me. Like, I mean, when I went to the island of Chios,
Yes.
Which is not the biggest island, actually Lesbos, which received the largest number of refugees last year. I think it was 700,000 or something, 750,000. Where I think in Chios they received a little bit over 100,000. Okay, but during the holiday there was a shift, there was a change, because maybe the weather, the smuggler route, all different kind of things, you know. And like I said, in one night we received 1,800 people, 37 boats. Up to today, from January 1st till today, they've received over 100,000 refugees. Greece received this year already.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yes.
With the internet being the way it is, and the communication being so open, and you can talk in any language now.
Yeah.
Google Translate is
true.
pretty good.
Yeah, it works for me.
I mean, we're right. We're the majority. The majority really does care
We do.
about these trials that are going on in the world. Don't you? I mean, do you believe that we could have the power to put it out there to the webiverse and take our power back as community, as human beings?
Human beings.
How do you feel about that? Do you think it's a possibility?
I think like the European youth are much more involved. I know that we see sort of the rise of the neo-Nazis and the far right.
Mhm.
But comparatively to the amount of good, the
Yes.
European youth is phenomenal. We're just a little bit isolated here in the States. And we're very like isolated in essence in a good way, protect us from enemies and whatever it is, but also in a bad way because we are relying on the actual media, which
Right.
doesn't give us anything.
Well, and that's what I was going to
Okay,
say,
yeah.
right? So you've got all these youths that are doing a really good job,
It's on the website.
And-
It's not on the website. It's actually online. You see it.
and we're not reporting it. We're
No.
reporting all of the negative.
That's true.
So how do we get past that? You're a documentarian. How do we get past that?
You know, I don't know. It's a hard one. I do my part.
Mhm.
Like that's all I could do. Like, I feel that my contribution is to be able to travel to these places, document, and bring personal stories.
Hmm.
Okay, for the American audience to see that these are just like us.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's for me is I feel that's how I can change, how people view who the refugees are. And also, I think the other part is to really ask the questions. Why aren't the media really reporting this? Why is the focus is on the election, which is how many months from now?
Right.
Okay.
Follow the money. That's always my answer.
Exactly. And then why are we so obsessed with Donald Trump? I mean, that's my question: is why is he the focus of the media? Like, he doesn't deserve it. He is a how do you say? He's an entertainment business. That's what he does. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think there's some questions out here. I would hope with this serious. Please, Elliot.
Kind of spoke about just having a strong support back home and a supportive partner and family to kind of send you off feeling welcome. So how important was having a strong base? How did that allow
Familial
you to,
unit. How important was a strong familial unit in this?
I say I want to share this with you. A lot of the refugees do end up having, going to therapy after.
Mhm.
A lot of the international volunteers, it's a common thing that we all aware of. I wasn't aware of it the first time I went in September, and when I came back, I was definitely. It took me a while to come back
Mhm.
to understand, even the most basic stuff like how the food tastes, what you do, how do you get up in the morning, like how do you get up in the morning, and then you have to focus on the love, the core. Like to answer your question, if it wasn't for my wife and my children and the core that I had, it would have been really hard to come back, And the second trip, which was even more devastating for me because in the first, when I was there in September, there was no life was not threatened. Okay, the hardest, there's some cases of exhaustion or different broken, stuff, simple stuff,
Fixable.
Huh?
Fixable.
Fixable.
things.
When you are receiving people in hypothermia condition and children, their hearts are not beating, and you have to bring them to life, that does something to you. So, I always thank my wife and my core of my friends and my family. When I come back, they understand that. There's 3 days ago, we talk about what is the word gates of hell, like because we always used it when it was there, because you open up and you see at night. The rubber boats arrive mainly at night, and when they come, you have this thing of like it's you can't believe it's actually happening, And we always refer to the word of gates of hell. Like, what is your own gates of hell? What is it the thing that is going to push you over, And everybody has their own. And for me, that night, it felt like when 1,700 people came and many people were in really bad situation. It was my personal. 2 days ago, a boat arrived, and there was a kid who their heart was stopped and they couldn't bring back to life. And then we talk about this, that the hard work that we do, all of us are international volunteers. Sometimes you have to accept the fact you can't save everyone.
Yes.
You know.
I think, yes, in every part of life you have to learn to accept that.
Yeah.
You're here at the International Film Festival in
Yeah.
Sedona.
Thank you, by the way. It's an amazing film festival.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes.
What does it mean to you to be able to show this film here where there's so many people who are interested? I mean, what's the screenings been like?
Yeah.
What's the Q&A been like? What's the reception been like?
Yeah.
You know, I know if I was watching this, that's what I'd want to know. What are people, what are they doing? What are they saying?
Yeah. I want to say first, it's an amazing film festival because you focus more, the focus here is on the filmmakers, which is really very powerful. And then you honor their work and dedication for their craft, which is a very important message to send to the world and the youth. That, you know, there's always, I love the idea of honoring the work, and I think that's what you guys focus on here in this film festival. And I think that kind of send this message, because even the Q&A, okay, was very powerful. The details were, the amount of detailed questions were asked, okay, was very powerful. And I've been to many screening of my film in churches, synagogues, and Red Cross and different places. But it was much more, not to say much more, but it was very powerful, some of the questions were asked. And people want to be involved.
Yeah. I mean, this is a good place for this film.
Yeah. I
Um,
feel that too.
Oh, good. And
Yeah.
we're glad. We want you to feel that this is the place for you
Thank
to
you.
come and bring this. Are there any other questions out there for Trajan?
I guess if you could go into a little bit more detail about what we can do here in the U.S. to help these people, like what organizations, what charities do you suggest? Like if there is like, I know we've had a little bit of issues with getting refugees into this country. If there are any like petitions we can sign, any hashtags we can do. You know, Tanya was just
Right.
talking about how powerful social media can be in this, and I think we all just want to know what we can do to tangibly make a difference in these people's lives.
So what hashtags, what organizations,
Yeah.
Where can we tweet and Instagram and
Awesome.
Facebook?
Yeah. Flight of the Refugees website has actually all this information. There's also one specific place where you can go. It's called Take Actions. And that, for me personally, I appreciate the UN. I appreciate the Red Cross. I appreciate all the big and small NGOs. But for me personally, I wanted to work with individuals. So what I did is the people that I worked with, that I felt they are saving lives, that's what I put on my website, with connection for you directly to be involved with them. Like I also focus, for example, on Greece, Turkey, and Lebanon. Greece, because they're receiving the majority number of refugees now, probably, I mean, we talked about 100,000 this year versus Italy only received 7,000, you know, crossing the Mediterranean. Turkey, because I feel if we can keep some of the refugees stationed, like living, they don't have to take that scary flight. You know, I wanted to encourage them. So there is actually a link specifically to one person I worked with that does that. In Lebanon, there's actually right now, one of the organizations that I'm supporting is, you know, the problem with the war is children they exist,
But yeah,
okay?
they're not living. Yeah.
They're not living. So they're not going to schools. They're not being played with. And they're not being addressed as human beings, because when your parents are busy just surviving. So I'm supporting a group of teachers. They're basically converting a bus into sort of like a mobile school, okay? And so they're going from one camp to another camp, and that's also on there too. And they have a GoFundMe, and they're not asking for a lot of money, but these are the things that I like to focus on. This is how we can make a difference, okay? Also, if you want me to continue my work as a filmmaker, I shot the footage in Greece and Turkey, and I'm in the process of making that film. If you want to support me also as a filmmaker, there's a GoFundMe. It's called Exodus, and that's the second segment of this film. I'll be going back in June. There'll be something else, but the website, and it has everything. It has Facebook, it has the Twitter account has the
Hashtags.
hashtags, everything. It's all there. Okay.
So it's flightoftherefugees.com?
Yeah.
Okay. Flightoftherefugees.com. Please go there, support this film, read all about it. He's done his work. He's vetted the correct charities and GoFundMe pages for you, so you don't have to do that work. And this is why we make films, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's not all fun and games. Sometimes we have to bring you what's really happening in the world from a point of view of someone who's there and
Yeah.
who's doing it. So,
I just want to add one more thing.
Mhm.
On also the website, you'll see some of the organization. You can actually volunteer there too.
okay.
Most of these places that I have, you can actually contact them and you can volunteer. And I know it sounds such a monumental thing. I'm 51. I have 2 kids, and I managed to spend over 1 month in Europe supporting the refugees in this crisis. So I really want to encourage people, youth of America, to actually make a difference. We can. We are very powerful. We are a great nation.
Yes,
We
are.
have to insert not our, how do you say this, our politics, but our humanitarian work. We are amazing people. They have to see it. That part is not being met or seen. We can make a difference. We can make a difference.
Well, and I agree that it is time for us to step into our power once again and be the great nation that we are. And I think we're pretty far from that at the moment on these issues.
But even we are like Gandhi. Revolution is necessary, and I think we can have a peaceful revolution in this country, where we not only claim our country, but our humanity.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. One more, Elliot. One more.
Question for you. So whenever humans are pushed to their extremes, you really find out who you are and you learn things. And I imagine going into this film, you didn't expect to learn as much about yourself as you probably did. So can you just share a little bit about what you learned about yourself that you didn't know?
I learned a lot. In the film, I actually say it, and it changes. Like it changes. You learn things. Each trip brings something. But this first trip of September really brought me back to my heritage, who I am, and also connected me to that common human thread that we're all the same. You know, and I think that for me, like, it really connected me back to my own being human and less obsessed with politics or business or money, and more connected with people. I mean, I'll share one story if I have time.
Sure.
Okay. Make it quick. There's a woman that she's in the film. She's wearing red. She's wearing a blue dress and a white scarf, and she's holding a little boy who's wearing red and little shorts. And she only has backpack. That's a small, teeny one. And then she's walking. She looked fatigued and tired. But this is the first night. I was really like, we helped so many people. It was like 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning. I stood there and I didn't do anything. I was just like I wanted to help her, but I couldn't. Like, I don't know what happened. I froze, you know, and I beat myself up, like all the time. When I see the movie, I feel my own, you know, not doing something. This trip, okay, when I was in Greece, we're outside the, what they call registration camp, okay, in Greece, when all the refugees have to be registered. So we serve food, okay, and then that night was very cold, and then a lot of people arrived that night, so we brought clothes for kids, dry clothes for infants. So I see this woman standing next to me, and she's just having a conversation. So I ask her. She's from Homs, where my mom is from originally. And I was trying to comfort her, and then I could feel that there's some pain going on inside. And she said, what do we do here? Is it going to cost money? And I said, yeah, it's going to cost you, 40 euros to get from the island to Athens, and then another 35 euros to get from Athens to the border with Macedonia, and another 20 to 35 euros to get to the Serbian border, and then another 25 to get each person. And she started crying. She said, the Turkish smuggler took all my money. See, they charge 1,000 euro for each head, each person on these boats, right? And she said, I have no money left, and she was crying. In that moment, I said, okay. My dad said something to me before I left on my second trip. He says, right the wrongs, the things that you could not do the first time. You'll get a chance, do it again. And I went to the car and I gave her enough money. Pulled enough money for her and her 2 kids to make it all the way as far as she needs. And I know I can still remember the other woman, but the universe always gives you that chance, a second chance. And the reason why I share this story, because even though we're all sitting over here and we might have not taken any actions before, we can still make that. We can still forgive ourselves and say, okay, I'm taking actions now. You know, that's
Yes.
my story.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing this, and we really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And I really do want people to go to the website, and I want you to keep doing what you're doing because you're quite the inspiration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.